Welcome to the show, guys. In this episode 3, we're going to be talking to Kayce Marie about her fitness program. I'm very excited to share this with you guys. Let's go ahead and get into the show. Welcome to the show, everyone. This is Kayce. She's a fitness trainer here in Murfreesboro, and I've been waiting a while to do this. This is podcast episode 3. Kayce, tell us a little bit about who you are and a bit about your company, and let's go from there.
So yeah, I'm with KK Fitness Training, my own fitness business. I have been around the gym and fitness industry for many years. Grew up hating fitness, hating running, hating all the things, hating vegetables, all the things. Um, and just hearing my mom talk about her body, how much she hated herself and all of that. As I got older in life, I was hearing those same things, but it was not her voice, it was my voice. And I didn't like that. I have a daughter of my own. I don't want her growing up hearing me and my issues with my body becoming issues with hers. So I worked retail for years, and as God does, he got me out of retail. And my husband at the time was like, well, what do you want to do? So, well, I've kind of gotten into this fitness thing. I'm kind of starting to like it now. Had taken some classes, had done some boot camps, some things like that. And so I became a personal trainer and just worked in gyms for most of my career and decided it was time to go out on my own. And God's just opened so many doors with that. So I love being able to bring fitness to those that need it.
That's good. That's good. So I know that struggle firsthand. When I was
Mhm.
younger, I never wanted to go to the gym. I was in football and I just dreaded any workout session ever. And for myself personally, I remember someone had originally gotten me into the gym, but what really got me going was that I had had some like personal struggles in my life, and I didn't want to go back to that person that I was when that had happened. Um, and so I remember when I got started, it was just like, I was going because I thought it would make me feel better. And over time it did. I started to get more confident, started to feel better as a person. And it just really helped me out as times progressed. So with that being said, I'm kind of curious to see what your relationship with fitness, like how did it start? Like what was the I feel like a lot of people have turning points in their life where they say, you know what, I'm going to get in the gym, I'm going to get healthier. Like what was your turning point?
Well, when we found out we were pregnant with my daughter, and that she was going to be a girl, every female in my family, when they got pregnant, they never lost the weight. It stayed, and it just kept increasing as they got older. And I didn't want that for me. So I she was born in December. I asked my husband at the time if I said I want a stability ball, I want a jogging stroller, I want the Jillian Michaels workout DVDs, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? Like these are things you're told not to buy your wife, and definitely don't tell your newly mommed wife. Like
Yeah.
those are things you don't do." And I said, no, I want those. I want to get it. We got a Wii balance board. I got all the gadgets and gizmos that I could for the house. Was never really into the gym. Again, I had done PE as a kid. I had done weight training as a kid. None of it clicked at that time. I did sports, but I wasn't good at it. So I would run around our neighborhood. I would get on my stability ball. I would do things that way, mostly at the time. And I mean, we're talking. Uh, Now I'm trying to think of what year she was born. And '08, so early 2000s. I mean, it was still calorie counting. Calories were a big thing. Calories in, calories out. Got to burn enough calories. And so I struggled to hit that calorie burn mark every day. We moved from St. Louis to Bowling Green, Kentucky. our church had really cheap workout classes, like $3 a class with $1 per kid. So for $5, I could go and work out and knew my kids were in a safe environment. And there were only like maybe 10 ladies there, so I didn't feel pressure for anything. And a bunch of them just kind of took me under their wing and taught me more about fitness. And they were like, well, you could become an instructor if you wanted. And I said no at the time to that, but taught me a lot about nutrition and intuitive eating, and that it's not just calories in and calories out. It's the type of calories we're putting in that makes the world of difference. So I learned all that through them. And then like I said, became a personal trainer, was doing what I had learned from them in a gym setting. I got some group fitness certifications at that time finally, and really loved teaching group classes and helping people as a whole, but then also giving them personalized when they needed it. And, it just kept coming back to nutrition. So got that nutrition certification, and have just totally restructured my relationship with food, because it's not calories in, calories out. It's not how little calories you eat in a day. You still have to fuel your body. And if you eat a day and you're way off and you're eating a lot of junk, because it's just one of those days. I call them my grade D days. Sometimes a D is the best I can give. On my grade D days, I know I can't give an A style workout the next day. Like
Yeah.
my workout's gonna change a little bit, but I show myself grace. And hey, there are days that happens, and that's okay. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna have an A day today, so my workout tomorrow can be an A. Because sometimes life happens and you have to travel, you have to do something, and you're not prepared for those things, and you can't. You got to make the best right choice, but they're not very good choices for nutrition. So it was just my turning point was just not wanting to gain the weight that my entire family on both sides had gained, and really strive on being a better mom at how I talk to my kids about nutrition and exercise and their bodies, essentially.
So I like how you mentioned there's two things that I really liked about what you talked about there. First is the people that brought you into fitness training. And I
Mhm.
kind of want to touch on that first, but I also do want to get into calorie deficit and calorie count, because that's something I know I struggle with personally, and I feel like a lot of people struggle with.
Mhm.
First, I do want to talk about having someone to bring you into the gym. Like I had said previously, I had somebody help me get into the gym, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be as far along in my process. So I've been 2 years, 2.5 years. I've been in the gym for. Um, why do you think it's important to have somebody there with you during your gym journey, wherever you are?
I think it's so even if you're an introvert, even if you're somebody who doesn't like going out, it's that accountability. And you have that person there that just kind of cares and is, again, taking you under their wing. And I knew none of the ladies when I first walked into exercise in Bowling Green. I knew none of them, but I got to know them. And again, between our church and being active in our church, I got to know many of them very, very well. But it was from there and taking those cheap classes that one of them invited me to Bowling Green Backyard Boot Camp. And then I did that with her for many, many years. And so, it's pushing you out of that comfort zone, but you still kind of have that security blanket of having that friend there.
Mhm.
So we know we need to be pushed. We know we need to step out, but it's hard on your own. So if you just have that person that's, holding your hand, or again, just that little security blanket of, oh, my friend. I've had people come into the gym because they're like, well, my friend works out here. And they don't come when their friend comes, but because their friend comes here, then that they feel comfortable being in that environment.
Yeah. Well said. I'm curious to know, I know we talked about it a little bit. You do like more fitness training, like one-on-one in at home.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. Like what is your process? Like what do you bring to people as a fitness trainer?
Yeah. So I bring the gym to them. I have weights from 1 pound up to 15, getting ready to buy some 20s because some of my people are maxing out of the 15s. I have bands, I have BOSU balls, I have stability balls, I have steps. I even have a strike bag. If somebody's having one of those days where they just have to hit something, I hold up the strike bag and they beat the crap out of me. And that is sometimes what you need. Medicine balls. I have everything in the back of my car. I bring everything to them that we will need. And, I talk with them first about their goals and if there's any injuries or anything we need to know about. But outside of that, it's, making sure that they're hitting their goals. We do measurements. I don't really do the scale. It's all measurements and how you feel. And if you have a scale and you want to check the scale, that's fine, but that's not my motif. Um, and because, there's those non-scale victories. The scale may not move because you're moving fat and muscle, and so, but everything's fitting better, or you have more energy, or you're actually enjoying getting out and doing things now. Before it was hard because of extra weight or just inflammation. So, yeah, definitely more about the measurements. And, then I bring my personality. I love the random goofy holidays of every day. Like today is I love food day. I mean, who doesn't love food? And so, we talk about, I ask my clients, what are your favorite foods? What's your go-to comfort food? What is something that you could never give up in a nutrition plan? And then I find ways to still make it delicious, but maybe a little more healthier. And it's not drastic, but it's a little bit. Um, or, when they've worked out hard, I was like, hey, you can go have that food today. And I, name off what it is. So it's them reminding them, oh, like she remembers. She heard me when I said that I love stir fry. And oh, I worked really hard today. I can have some stir fry or whatever that may be. And giving nutrition guidance. I can write out nutrition plans and all of that. Most of my clients, if they want that, they just actually do the faster way with me, where I'm a coach and the nutrition plans and the workouts are planned for them. And then I just come alongside, make sure they're doing the workout, make sure they're eating the food. But it depends on what they need from me. I'm a chameleon. I can be anything anybody needs me to be, from Jillian Michaels in your face to the person that makes you laugh while you're doing a plank because it is dreadful and you don't want to do it. So,
Let's talk about that a little bit. What are your favorite foods? Like just I'll give you mine really quick just so I can get that out of the way. My favorite foods I cannot live without. Avocados, eggs, and ground beef is a potential on that list. What about
yeah.
you? What are your favorite foods?
So you went healthier than I did. My absolute favorite food, like the hole in the wall worst pizza you can find, and you can't even track it on an app because it doesn't exist anywhere outside of that restaurant. And you just have to guess at it. I love pizza. I love those hole in the wall food places like that. And then I've guys tend to go more for the meats that they love. I love a good pasta, good grilled cheese, some fried shrimp. Like if I'm gonna go bad, I'm gonna go bad
Oh
and
yeah.
just in. But again, there's a time and a place for all of that. We talk a lot faster way and all that with memories over macros. If you're making a memory, don't worry about the macros. Like if it's somebody's birthday or an anniversary or you're celebrating something, because stressing about what you're eating is actually going to be more detrimental than just eating the food and then making the
Wow.
next choice better.
That
So,
makes a lot of sense. That
yeah.
makes a lot
So
of sense.
we're not making memories every day. We're not making memories every meal, but enjoy the memory and make the memory and move on with the next best choice that you can have.
So I actually came up with this last night because I had ice cream and I just thought about it, and it's really degrading. I don't know how like cool you are with doing something like this, but it's really simple. It's kind of a smart idea that I came up with. So I took a picture of myself eating the ice cream. And when I looked at that picture, I just felt so gross. And so now I'm making this like habit to where if I ever decide, like not in a memory moment, right? But say I'm
Yeah.
eating at a restaurant and I decide to get dessert when I shouldn't have gotten dessert, I will take a picture of myself and that can stop me, right? So like if I'm with 17 people and they
Hmm.
take a picture of my, like you have to have your face in it. That's the rule. So like I
Yeah.
was sitting with the coffee mug and I was like, it looked so bad. It didn't look good. And so I don't want to have to do that when I want to order a cheesecake at a restaurant and I just randomly pull out my phone and everyone's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So I think that's a good way for me to stop eating unhealthy. That's what I'm trying to do. What do you have recommendations for other people who want to be in a calorie deficit who struggle? Because I know I like even beside I started doing that yesterday, and I only did
Hmm.
it once because it's not like I eat ice cream every 30 minutes, but
Yeah.
what would you recommend to other people who are trying to stay in that calorie deficit, who even like myself, so I work from home, I don't move around a lot.
Mhm.
So it's hard for
Yeah.
me to get out and walk around and I kind of have to remind myself. What would you recommend for people who struggle with that, who are struggling with the calorie deficit? What would you say to do?
So, there is a different chemical reaction in the brain when you say cheat or when you say a treat. So, and people will use the term like, oh, I had a cheat meal yesterday. Well, your cheat meal very well is possibly taking up the entire deficit of the week that you created. So a cheat meal is usually like somebody's entire calorie count for the day in that meal, if not even more. So allowing yourself to have that treat and thinking about it ahead of time. Like Saturdays are my leg days. Saturdays, because the legs are a bigger muscle group, are my treat days. So I try to strategically plan, ooh, I can have ice cream or I can have donuts or I can have like that's so planning my workouts, and when I'm working those bigger muscle groups, then that's kind of my little reward. And sometimes it's a savory, sometimes it's a sweet, but it's that day that I'm going to go off a little bit, and it's a treat, not a cheat, because your brain comprehends them totally differently. There is a bigger dopamine hit saying you cheated than saying a treat, and then you're trying to chase that dopamine hit every time.
Mm. I like the way that you approach it with the mind because I never thought about it before. You'd said this earlier, and it was a really great point about how when you are eating, um, you get the dopamine from saying that you're cheating. You said something earlier about that, where it was like it's a mindset thing. Where if you
Yeah.
tell yourself, I'm kind of, I feel like I'm messing it up. Like, what exactly did you say about that?
So
I just lost it.
So all of it goes to a mindset. Exercise has been shown to help decrease depression, help with endorphins, help with immunity, all of that. Eating the right foods can help with that. So yeah, having that mindset, like we talked about going with a friend to the gym, and that accountability, and that it's just getting figuring out where your mind is at. And I've had clients that have trained with me off and on for years because where they wanted to commit, they just weren't there yet. And so they fall off, they come back on, they fall off, all of that. And we all have those times and those seasons. I have seasons I'm not as strict with my nutrition or my exercise as much as I am in other seasons, but it's not hurting yourself. Like don't get down on yourself. Don't be upset with yourself. If that's the season you're in, you just keep moving forward and keep trying. But if it takes everything out of you to plan the meals for the family or to try to even just get out for a walk one day, take that. Take that as a win. Um, because that's the season you're at. That's where you're at. And just don't just put everything to the side and sit down and do nothing. Keep moving, keep striving for it, but don't let it overtake your whole head, because then you just get upset and depressed because, well, I fell off again, or I fell off that wagon, or I wasn't able to do that program, or that's more detrimental than giving yourself a little grace and being like, okay, wasn't my best month. Gonna try again tomorrow.
I struggle with that so much. When I have a habit tracker actually in front of me, and
Mhm.
I'll miss a day or 2 days or 3 days, and I'll get really in my head about it. And I think that's
Mhm.
the biggest point. And the worst part is, I think once you get started, once you get into these habits, these good habits, like meditating or walking or working out, at some point, if you don't do it for the day, you like consciously you're aware of it. And so you
Mhm.
feel worse than you would have if you didn't know about the thing in the first place, or you didn't know how detrimental maybe missing that day would have been for you, right? It's not obviously it's not the end of the world if you miss a day
Yeah.
or two, but um I get really in my head about that stuff. And that's something that I want to work on, is that there are going to be days where I miss, like the weekends are always bad for me. Sometimes I might not end up, reading my Bible for the day, or I might not do cardio or abs that day. And so I struggle with keeping myself in a positive attitude, even when I miss those. And that's been a struggle for me personally.
And it is hard. And but then, like, so when we get into those mindsets, then our cortisol levels going up, and then our body's out of whack, and then it's craving, your body wants the dopamine hit of doing the thing. And we're not at that point where we're correlating that thing to a dopamine hit, so it's going to start craving something that's not healthy for you, because it knows it can get that immediate hit. And so it I tell my clients, like, if you're craving something, try to, it doesn't always happen, but try to take a second and figure out, why am I craving this? Like, is it because I'm bored? Is it because I had a really hard day and I need, again, you need a hit? It's sugars and all of those things are like drugs, and we get addicted to them. So even if you still partake in the treat or whatever it is, um to get that hit, you're at least more conscious of
Yeah.
why. And so maybe you're not going to eat a whole sleeve of chips. You're going to eat like a couple, cookies or whatever. So knowing where your mindset at just plays huge into fitness and nutrition and all of that, and helps you. And, just going to, I was trying to circle us back and I lost where we're at. The train went that way.
Calorie deficits.
Calorie deficits. So it's not, calories in, calories out is a very basic, simple way of thinking of it. And a lot of clients of mine, like, that's where we essentially start. I do usually have them pay attention to protein more than anything, because most people don't get in enough protein. And so it's making sure they're hitting that goal, and then we'll figure out the rest later. And, calorie in, calorie out, I would chase that calorie marker on my watch, on my fitness watch, all the time. I had to hit 2,500 calories. And if I didn't burn 2,500 calories that day, I was miserable. I hated myself. I felt like a fat, obese pig, even though that wasn't the case. Um, but I had, like, in my head, I'd formed that habit. I had to hit 2,500 calories. Well, when I went from working retail to just working in a gym, well, the front office of a gym, you sit a lot. um, those calorie burns just weren't happening. And so it was making sure, that's when I really started plugging away at the macros, the protein, the fats, the carbs, making sure they are on point. And I mean, I love it when I have a day when I'm like, ooh, I can have some popcorn at the end of the day, because I've hit all my macros and I have a little bit of wiggle room. And I get to have some popcorn. I get to have, an Oreo cookie or two, which is a serving, or that you can give yourself those little graces even throughout the week without having a treat, because you were on track and you did the thing. And if you stay hitting your macros, you're going to hit your calories properly. And then that's also going to give you fuel for your workouts, for to help with brain fog, to help with decision fatigue. If your nutrition isn't on point, all of those things suffer. And then we just go down the rabbit hole of making worse decisions.
That is where I struggle, is that rabbit hole. When I've looked at, I believe that habits come in twos. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very like productive oriented. Like I try to work as much as I can. And so I know that if I'm going to watch TV, there's a higher likelihood that I will eat junk food than if I were to work. Like right now, I'm not craving a pizza, or I wouldn't even really call it like that's, I guess that's junk food. But
Yeah.
when I eat junk food, I'm thinking like cheesecake. Like I'm not craving a dessert right now. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that whenever I do bad habits, another habit usually forms with it. You have drinking and you have smoking and you have staying up late and drink, like all these habits come together. And
Yeah.
I catch myself going into that rabbit hole where it's like I miss a day and I get all in my head about it. And then I think, well, it'll be okay, whatever. And I just struggle to get back on track. So I guess my next question would be, for anyone who's struggling to get in the gym or
Mm-hmm.
having trouble staying consistent, what would you say to them?
Really, look at it as a plan. Like if you were missing something at work, like consistently missing a key component of what you're doing, what would you do to get back on track? What would you do to make sure it got incorporated in your day? For some people, it's throwing their workout stuff in their car and having it sit right next to them. I've had people even move it over to the driver's seat when they get up to go into the office, so when they get back, they have to physically move it and reminder, oh, hey, I'm going to the gym after work. Um, it's, some people, it's setting that alarm at lunchtime. They're going to go for a walk, or I'm going to come to them at lunchtime. But it's seeing what's working best in your schedule. Not everybody can hit the gym, 5 days a week, 7 days a week. Some people, it's best if they can just do two. What 2 days in that week is it easiest for you to get there? And then structure your day around that. I mean, we make priorities out of the silliest things in this world. So making the gym a priority, and it's just getting there. 80% of it is mental. It's just getting to the gym. Once you're there, even sitting in the parking lot, you're more likely to go in. Very few people have turned around and driven away. And so, and that's usually because they forgot something and they had to come back. But whatever your excuses are, if it's that, oh well, I didn't eat well, okay, so bring a smoothie with you to have before the gym. Or I you know it's too hard to get there before work, then make the plan after work and put the stuff in your car. um Leave your work shoes at work and put on your tennis shoes as soon as you leave so then, like, again, it's you're physically kind of getting ready for it, even if you're not completely dressed for it. It's just that one mental step, so then you're not mindlessly driving and you pass the gym. Put on your gym workout music in the car, so you're already kind of getting pumped, and oh yeah, that song, I did that song and I PR'd on a deadlift when I hit that. Ooh, I want to go do deadlifts today. Like, so it's being mindful of yourself and knowing what your shortcomings are and what your excuses are, and then you got to trick yourself to get back in the right habit. And just getting there all the time, that's the hardest thing. I come home and I don't take my shoes off, and I try not to sit down, because once I sit down and my shoes are off, I'm not moving the rest of the night. It's not happening.
Yep.
So I keep my shoes on, which means I can't get comfy on the couch, because we try not to let shoes on the couch. So I can't get very comfortable. So I'm going to get up and move more. And then, if I sit down, I always say I'm going to sit down and do work. I don't sit down and do work. So I come to my little desk here and have the kids running around behind me sometimes, and I do my work right here. Um, they may be sitting on the couch watching TV and I get to listen in, but I'm not sitting because once I sit, I'm done. I'm not picking up my laptop. I'm not doing anything more.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely understand that. I make that commitment to myself too, where, for me, the workday's over and, I usually get done around 5 or 6, and it's rough at that point of the day to say, I gotta go to the gym and but I've kind of turned it into a hobby, and the way I've phrased it is more of like I want to go. I like the gym. This is my thing. And so that's
Mhm.
definitely helped me out a lot. I kind of do want to switch gears just a little bit. This is the Business Talk podcast, so we do talk about business. And so I do want to ask you a couple of questions about your business. So most of the audience actually is business owners, um, or young entrepreneurs looking to get started. So, I kind of want to hear a bit more about your story and what made you do it. So how long have you been in business for?
So when I first got my training certification, I kind of started the KK Fitness brand, but I really didn't do much with it until about the last 6 months or so, is when I really started like, okay, like this is the direction God wants me to do. God really wants me to be focusing on this full time. And so that's where I'm going. And just kind of leaping out onto a limb and with no net. And so it was very scary. Um, so I'd always wanted to, but I kind of thought my place was always going to be in a gym. And then I left kind of gym culture for the most part last year, being a manager, at least at a gym, because that wasn't where my heart was. Signing people up for memberships isn't really where my heart is. I want to help people and change people. And the gym at the time just didn't have that kind of clientele. So I got a couple personal trainings or clients on my own, just around. I'm in Woodbury, so in Woodbury here, and then I had gotten another full time job, and I was doing that and doing networking and marketing for that business. And I met a lot of great networkers through that process. And then when they downsized and I was let go, I applied at places, but my heart wasn't in it. And my husband's like, this is the time to really see if your business will float and do something with it. So I started to strictly still went to all the networking things and talked about my business instead. And God has opened up so many doors and had so many things. I would have never guessed that within a few short months I would be where I'm at today. And very blessed. And I know without a doubt this is the path that God wanted me to be on, and that I am doing his work. And I mean, I get to pray with clients and I don't have to worry about, is the boss going to hear? I can, you know, I can be me and not have to worry about, am I fitting into a stereotype? Am I fitting into what the company wants me to be? Um, and I absolutely love it. I can't believe I put off doing this for so long.
Yeah, I will say that it's very freeing when you don't have to have a particular character or mask that you put on whenever you come into
Mhm.
work. And half the time, let's be honest, pretend like you want to be there. It's very,
Mhm.
you can work for yourself and in a mindset where you know that it's on you to perform. And I think going to the gym is what kind of really got me into that mindset, because I knew that no one's going to tell me to go to the gym. I have to go to the gym. And
Yep.
so that's how I was able to get here. And it's really beautiful that, you found that route, because it's tough for some people, and it's very unorthodox too. Like most people don't wake up and say, "Oh, I'm going to start a business." And it's
Yeah.
very, very strange. Um, Now I know you said you just kind of started in the last couple of months, like really getting serious about it. What are you doing to acquire customers?
So I've still been focusing mostly on the networking because that is actually where I've got most of my clients so far, is through the networking groups around Murfreesboro and Shelbyville and Smyrna and all of that. I do post things online, and I try to be active online. I kind of took a little hiatus for a bit for a mental health break. Um, but it's word of mouth. And there are being open to those conversations wherever they may be. I had one lady talked about my Star Wars tattoos on my back and how she was making a cosplay for a Comic-Con, and she wanted to kind of tone up before the cosplay because the cosplay showed her arms and she wasn't happy with her arm. And like, you never know where a conversation is going to lead, and all of it was, oh, I love your Star Wars tattoos. So just putting myself out there and not being in my head when I'm out in public. I'm not necessarily looking for opportunities. I'm not just going to randomly walk up to somebody and start a conversation. But, if the opportunity presents itself, I'm going to say it. I wear my name tag almost everywhere. My kids, we were skating the other night. My kids are like, Mom, can you take off the name tag? Um, but, it's just being open to whoever God is going to put in my way that needs to, that maybe isn't comfortable going to a gym. Maybe they're not confident in themselves. Maybe they have a hard time getting out of bed. So somebody coming to them gives them one less excuse. Whatever their situation may be as to how they find me. I love my clients and training them, which is why I do what I do. But I'm not at this point, I'm not really trying to pull in clients. I'm just letting God bring me who I'm supposed to have. And I have the luxury of that because I do have a good clientele base right now that I'm making what I need to for my family. So I don't have to keep marketing, but I know my goal eventually is to get my clients to where they don't need me anymore, that they are succeeding and they have the motivation, and I just check in with them ever so often. So in that case, I'm going to need new clients coming in because my other clients kind of graduate and move on because they're doing amazing and have made the skills and the habits that they need to make.
That's good. That's really good. Um, what does that look like? Like you said, your goal was to have it at a point where maybe your clients didn't need you all the time. Like what does that look like? Were you going to have like a program, like a teaching program, or like Zoom calls? Like what were you going to do on that aspect?
So I do have like a kind of ongoing Facebook group for clients that I've had in the past, from Kentucky or whatever, that I moved, and they stayed, and some family members that have asked for um information, like, they want the information but they don't want to pay for the information, so I just kind of throw people in a Facebook group and give the information there. But with some of those clients, it's kind of the same thing. I will have something for them that they can reach out when they have a question, if they're doing a lift right, if they need a little more help, like, because after a while when we're tracking our food, it gets, if you're not really diligent about it, the food portions start to grow and things kind of get out of whack a little bit. So, like, hey, can you just remind me the portion size, or remind me how much protein I should be eating, or, so just those check-in things. I'll probably have a special Facebook group just for previous clients on that end that have kind of graduated from needing me. Um, but I had a beautiful client in Bowling Green that after I moved down here, and she was one of those on again, off again type of clients. She ended up having, because I've trained her for free for a while. She was one of my best friends, but she had to pay for a trainer. And she was like, oh my gosh, he tells me all the time my form is amazing. Or, he can't believe that I'm able to lift as heavy as I am. And she would just tell me all these things because we worked so hard for her to get there.
Yeah.
And I was ecstatic. I may not be somebody's end of their story. I may just be a stepping stone. I may just be there to get them started. And then all of a sudden they find a love for lifting heavy things, or, being a cardio bunny or whatever. Like, they find a love, and then that's what drives them to continue.
By the way, if you are a business owner and you want to do a podcast as well, there is a link in the description where you can sign up and set a time for you to have your own podcast one on one and promote your brand. Yeah, that's beautiful that you have a system set up to not only help people who you're helping right now and have already helped out in that way, when it's over with, you're just like, okay, bye, that's it. Like, you still keep up with them and keep in touch and help them as much
Mhm.
as you can. And I really think that's a good thing there. Um, my next question would be, what do you desire with your business? Like, what's your biggest desire? Where do you want to be uh in 6 months or a year and 5 years? Like, what's your goal?
I would like to have a few more personal training clients. I've been doing some pop-up classes around Murfreesboro. I would love to see those grow. And because mindset of that is being able to bring on, I mean, MTSU has a great exercise science program. There's also, I've been working with the Yard and Sweet Addiction for women that have just struggled in their life with things that, have them get their training certification. And, here's a whole class you can take over and you get to know these ladies and, or guys, because we do have a couple guys that come too. Um, and so I would love to train up the next me. Um, and just help more and more people find fitness. I'm only one person. I can't do it all. And gyms can be very intimidating. Like I said, I did not step into a gym really until I became a personal trainer. Gyms were just not my forte. I like boot camp classes. I like doing body weight stuff outside, functional fitness, all of those things. I now have a love for the gym. I love lifting heavy things. I love knowing that I can push a small car off of a child if I had to. But it took time for me to get there to find what I truly am enjoying. And my daughter now, 15, she does weight training at Cannon County High School. She's loving it. And I remember doing weight training when I was about her age, and I didn't necessarily love it. So me and her are starting to kind of lift together and having that moment. And I'm like, once you find you're in on fitness, whether it's running 5Ks or marathons, whether it's doing, cross country or CrossFit, or once you find your thing, it makes it easier to do fitness. So that my goal is, yeah, to have more of me out there, and train up the next version and grow my classes. I mean, the classes I do are $10 at the door, $5 RSVP. And RSVP just means at this point, you just have to text me or Facebook message me that you're coming and you get it for $5. Just, come into again, offering those cheap classes, kind of like how I got really started in fitness. And kids can come with mom. So if she can't get a babysitter or she doesn't trust the gym and their childcare, bring kiddo with you. We'll work out with him sitting in the corner or sitting off to the side, or he can work out with you. That would be awesome. Seen lots of little kids get up and lift the little 1 pound weights with mom. It's so cute. And you know, if we don't do it as parents, then the kids are less likely to do it. So, if I can just, yeah, grow my classes and find the next me that I could hopefully train up, to take over some things on occasion when they do start to blow up, that would be awesome.
That's awesome. That I think that's really beautiful that you are willing to do. Willing might be the wrong word, but you do the same kind of uh classes that you were brought in on.
Mhm.
You came in on the cheap classes because I mean, for someone who's never done fitness before, if you were to like, I know these gyms like they'll do like a $10 startup thing, and then after that, it's like $500 a month, and some people just can't afford that. And so
No.
to start with that is kind of a sin, really, and you start in a good manner. And I think that's a really good way to get fitness to the person who maybe struggles to get to the gym or doesn't know what kind of fitness they're into. I think you do a good
Mhm.
job with that. So we're actually coming low on time here, but
Yeah.
really enjoyed our conversation. It's been awesome.
Thank
I'm going to
you.
tell you about what I do at the end of every show. So basically, um, I have everyone give a question, and then you answer the question from the previous podcast, and then you
Okay.
give a question for the next podcast.
Okay.
So my question for you today is how can I take or how can you take your business to the next level?
So right now I am in the process of getting a website and an app. So I think that's going to really explode because then people can RSVP for classes on there. And I can then deliver workouts to my clients via the app and such as well. So I think that's really going to um, push me into that next level. And then personally, I'm really hoping to get out this fall and do some of the vendor events and some. I mean, fall is a great time. There's tons of maker markets and vendor things and all that stuff, and just get out and have more conversations with people about you know their health and their fitness journey and what they would like to see. What do they love about their gym? What do they don't love about their gym? And just get, good conversations, if not a good little impromptu workout in at my little booth. So that's what I'm most excited about coming up, that I think will help elevate my business to the next level going into January when everybody is trying to get fit.
Yeah. Well, I loved your answer. I think you have a good road ahead, and it sounds like it's going to be a good time. And I can't wait to check in and see how everything's going. We are here locally, so I'll probably see you around
Yep.
and definitely keep in contact. Where can everyone find you? Where can we find you?
So my email is kkfitnesstraining.com or at gmail.com. And then I'm on Instagram and Facebook, both under KK Fitness Training. My website soon will be KK Fitness Quest because you're always on some sort of quest. And so that's my biggest areas to find me: Instagram, Facebook. I'm debating on doing TikTok or not. I think that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But then, yeah, KK Fitness Training at gmail.com. If anybody has any questions or wants to set up a consult.
All right, awesome. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Do you have anything else to say, or is
Just get out and get moving. Just moving your body is so important.
amen to that? Well, Casey, it was great having this call, and
Yeah.
I hope everything goes well.
Yeah. And I'm sure I'll see you around.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click the subscribe button. I'm going to be doing many more podcasts just like this with other business owners. And again, if you are a business owner and you want your own podcast, there's a link in the description where you can book a time to have your own podcast one-on-one, just like this. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.